Hello, Lexies. Welcome back to the Luxury Live Show. I'm Amy, and I also have my co-host Kat L. But not only that, we have a very special guest today, which is Arissa. Hi, Arissa. Welcome back
Hi, thank you
to
for
the
joining
Luxury Live
us.
Show.
On the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show. We can't wait to get to know you a lot more. So, just as a small background, how we found Arissa, right? So, Arissa, she's on YouTube for a
Thanks here.
couple years, she said, and recently well, not super recent, but recently she made two very awesome videos on the Chanel 22 bag, if you guys don't know. And she even did a DIY how to protect the sides of your bag. And that's how we discovered her. But she's much more than that. She's also the senior beauty editor at Harper's Bazaar, Singapore. Like, how cool is that we get to
Cool.
interview and talk to someone like this? Because all our guests are all fun and all, but they all do it for a hobby, and we actually have a live real person that works in the beauty and fashion industry. So it's going to be so cool to get to know you more, Arissa. And I'll start with the first question, if you don't mind. I just want to ask if you can tell us more about yourself. Like, how do you even become a fashion editor and a beauty editor, and like your hobbies, your passions, all of that jazz?
So my name is Larissa. I run the YouTube channel under my name, Arissa Ha, and I usually make content about luxury fashion, beauty, travel, tech, and sometimes vlogs. So I've been with Bazaar for the last 3.5 years now. So Harper's Bazaar Singapore is under Singapore Press Holding, or SPH. Previously, I was with another magazine called the Singapore Women's Weekly under the same company. So I made the internal transfer around 2020. So I mean, you know that my official title is the Senior Beauty Editor at Harper's Bazaar Singapore. So naturally, I take care of all the beauty content for the magazine. So that will include things like your makeup, your skincare, wellness, health, aesthetic, beauty. And yeah, I've been with the industry for a little bit more than 10 years now. So it's a little strange when you think about it because like 10 years ago, magazine editors and writers only write, like we
Right.
strictly write. So we'll be churning out articles after article, whether it's for print or for our website. But videos really took off like maybe 5, 6 years ago.
Mm.
And you know, I we were kind of dabbling into video production. Our clients have been asking for videos for their products. And I was also in a position where I was kind of stuck in a sense. I didn't just want to write. And I was also asking my editor at that point of time, what can I do to, earn the title of editor? Because the other, back then I was only senior writer. So she said,
Right.
you have to start thinking about doing videos. I don't think she meant like being able to handle video production from start to end. I think it was more of learning how to start making content, video content for clients, how to do storyboarding, how to tell a story, how to basically sell the products for them. But I really wanted to understand this process. I'm like a
Mm.
class type A. So I was very determined. So every evening I'll come back after work. I'll spend 2 or 3 hours learning how to make videos on Skillshare.
Oh.
Yeah, this is not sponsored, but I actually did sign up for my own Skillshare account. Every evening I'll come back from work. I'll take 2 or 3 hours learning how to, the basics of how to edit or film my own videos. I started following content creators like Peter McKinnon, Maddie Hapuya, Becky, and Chris, just to learn, about the nuances of how to make a good video, like the gear that's involved, the kind of microphones you need. And I really went all in. The good news,
Wow.
the good news is I got my title. Did put my name in for a promotion, and I did get it. So yeah. After that, I
Wow. Yeah, I actually follow your tech content because I mean, if any of you out there are looking for like cameras, I was watching some of your videos on your reviews, And now I'm looking to buy that DG, what's that?
The
DGI.
pocket too.
Yeah, it's so good. And you did a really good review. So on top of makeup and your fashion and your vlogs, that tech content of yours it's consumer friendly, because it's, sometimes when you watch these tech content, it can be quite technical. They'll tell you,
Too much.
all kinds of numbers and things about lenses that may not be suitable for the average consumer. I want to know a little bit. I want to know some focus, all that, but sometimes it goes into too much depth. I do lose the content creator. So your tech videos is a good balance between some tech, but then a lot of use. So anyway, you should follow, because I'm like, okay, I'm just waiting for like a sale or something, because I want to start doing vlogs, and I find that to be very good. And so thanks for that. Interesting.
Thank you. I think the thing with being somebody in a magazine, editorial, so to speak, whether you're writing about fashion or beauty or tech, the whole idea is to put it in not so nice way, is to kind of dumb it down, make it
It's true.
Yeah.
understandable. Like how does this product apply to my life? It's the simplest terms, so that consumers can understand why they need this or why it will fit into their lifestyle. So yeah, I think part of that aspect of my job is also being brought into YouTube when I create content.
Wow, thanks for
That's
sharing. And I
amazing.
agree about the dumb it down, because I work with some tech. I mean, I work in technology, so I speak to some tech like really techie guys, and you're like, what are you saying, brother? What are you saying? And it's because they're so knowledgeable in their line of work. They'll tell you, Kubernetics, I don't get it. What is it? And you have to bring it down to a level that it's like, literally, is it English? And like, oh, okay, I get it now. So yeah, I totally agree. And everything, right? Not only technology, but everything. Even sometimes makeup, or it can be so technical. It's just yeah. So thank you.
You just got to word it in such a way that regular consumers will be able to understand what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm just curious, like, how does because I'm so fascinated by your job, how does like a typical day goes by for like when you get into your office, and like the kind of stuff that you do, like how does it look like?
It's actually kind of boring.
Is it?
Not in the traditional sense where I head in the office, I do the same thing in and out. But for us, it's more of working towards an issue. Let's say we're working on the September issue right now. So usually we work about a month and a half, 2 months ahead if we have, if the timeline is generous. But all the stories that are filed for that month is usually decided through a meeting. So our editor will usually decide on, say, okay, what's the theme for this month? Is it sports? Is it power women? Is it sustainability? So we will pitch our stories, what we want to write according to the beats that we are writing for. So for me, if we're pitching a story about sustainability, I'll be looking for maybe people who champion sustainabilities, or sustainable beauty brands in Singapore, and so on. How even the simplest ways you can be sustainable in terms of beauty in your daily life. That sort of stories. So we'll be pitching these, and then the rest of the month would just be like, okay, we're just churning out stories, churning out stories for the towards the print issue. But of course, that is just only for the print magazine. We still do write stories about on the website as well.
Wow. Yeah, I'm curious. Okay, I know we're going to go to the next question about your style, but I'm just curious about how the past, say, 5-6 years, where everything is so digital now. How has it changed the print? Because I think Amy as well, both of us come from a generation where magazines were the thing, right? We look at the magazines, everything is just inspired, your style, the fashion, the makeup, the content, the knowledge, it's all magazines. But now it's sort of videos, and actually I don't even know if I haven't bought to be honest, I haven't bought a magazine for a long time, and I used to spend
Me
all my
neither.
like allowance on magazines, but now it's just like I don't.
I used to have subscriptions. I would get sent them every month, but
Every
no
month, yeah,
longer.
Women's Weekly. I used to get Australia's one, the Singapore, the Malaysia, but then now it's sort of it's not there anymore. So I'm just curious, how have you seen the shift?
Let me preface this by saying that I also grew up with magazines, so we are about the same age. I've always had this love for magazines. It's where I got my inspiration and love for fashion
Right.
from. So, when I joined the industry, there was like a huge shift. We're seeing websites now for magazines. We are seeing, social media content. Like, I mean, every single magazine now has their own TikTok, has their own Instagram, has their own threads, and Twitter, and so on. Um, as editorial, you can't sit on your laurels and just assume that, okay, you've got to just write. You've got to create content that people want to see. And as much as I hate to admit it, the demographics of your Gen Zs now, they're not going to pick up a magazine to read. They're going to read it online, or even, just reading a short caption on Instagram is kind of extremely difficult for them because their attention span is just so short. So you've got to think of ways of how to present a piece of content or a piece of information in the quickest, most concise and interesting and entertaining way ever. And that's the biggest challenge for editorial now.
So do you find the new platform like Thread? Because I tried it. I'm sorry. I tried. I said, okay, I'm gonna get on it. I was on it for a good solid week, and then after that, I said, that's it. I'm not a threader. Is that the kind of like short burst of info?
Well, the thing about Threads is that, I mean, it's Twitter. I've been on Twitter since 2007. I think a lot of short form news comes up on Twitter the fastest. Let's say if you were to be watching Apple keynotes and they were talking about something new, a new product, they want to nail down, like, okay, what does this new iPhone do? What are the specs? Twitter is the best way to do it. It's the fastest. Yeah. So Threads is, to me, a direct copy of what Twitter is.
Twitter.
I don't know how. I mean, we know that it reached quite a substantial number of users in the first week, but I really do want to see the numbers of how it is happening right now. If people are still using it, I think most people have already amassed a certain number of followers on Twitter. The people who actively use Threads are the same people who will still use Twitter.
Very interesting. I think this whole industry is constantly shifting because of social media. And it was very stable for a long time, right? Because it's magazines and newspapers and TV. And then suddenly now you've got so many platforms, so many ways to get this information out. And it's so challenging. It's so fast paced.
So
I'm going to pull a question from the audience because I think this is a great question before I move on to asking about your style, which we're also curious about too. So Mary Lux with Corinne. Hi, Arissa. I see your videos that you film from different angles. Do you operate solo or is there someone else helping you behind the scenes?
I operate solo. Wow. So I don't know if you can see, I have actually multiple cameras at the back. So so the good thing about cameras these days is you can operate them with your phone. I mean, you just need an app to do it. So, sometimes I'll be like speaking to a camera and then I'll have like my iPad in front of me, my phone in front of me, and they're all controlling different cameras. So I just hit record at the same time. So, the audio definitely will sync between the cameras because I'm just like recording at the same time. So it just takes a little bit of editing magic.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm very awkward in front of the camera. Most of the time, I'll just be writing scripts. I'll have a teleprompter in front of me. When I vlog, when I'm outside, I tend not to speak to the camera because I'm so awkward. I find it really challenging to do
I think we
that.
all do though.
No, Kat is so natural in front of the camera. And then she's just walking the streets of Singapore. I recognize those streets and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do that.
It's called thick face, you know, because I actually, it's like I'm talking, then I can, at the corner of my eye, I can see somebody looking at me like, ignore, 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 ignore.
I think you just get
Because it's
used
still
to it
not really
though
common
after
in
a while.
Singapore. Vlogging is
Yeah.
not common here. Not like in America. I think everybody's got the camera in their face, right, in their hand. But
No,
in
you
Singapore,
think
actually,
America, but like nobody is really vlogging in like in Canada. We're still part of America, but like no one, I mean, no one really does it as much, I think. And I've never seen anyone, plus they kind of deter you from filming here in Canada. So like they'll come and stop you.
I do see some kids setting up their tripods and doing TikTok dances in public. I'm so self-conscious for just speaking to my
I
own
think that
camera.
I cannot do. Vlogging is still okay because it's still, you know, within hand distance. But to set up like a tripod and then dance in the middle, no.
No,
No, sorry, I can't do it.
I can't do that either.
Amazing. Thank you for the question, Corinne. So, okay, I'll move on to one of our big question. It's about your style, and I'm trying to add it to the chat. Why is it taking so long? But
While
okay, let
you
me
do
just
that,
read it to you for now. Oh, you know
sorry,
what?
no, I was just gonna add this comment from Alta because it suddenly brought back memories. Also, magazines give you fragrance samples that you cannot sniff. Oh my gosh! I suddenly had a flashback of that little piece of paper you that fold in the magazine and you open up and you're like, oh, that's what it smelled like.
I used to work for Teenage Magazine, and we will have these posters of like pop stars. People always look forward to that every month. So there are things that digital you can't replace.
You're right. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that also.
Okay, so I can't add it to the chat for some reason. I'll just read it. So we discovered through your Instagram. So for those of you who don't follow Arissa already, her channel is linked down in the description, and also follow her Instagram. So we discovered that you have a monochromatic style, but more importantly, it's mostly black, I think. And you I clicked on your all the links on your Instagram, and it brought me to your monoxious, I think it's called monoxious label. So I was like, that is so cool. But I don't know, because you haven't posted recently, so I don't know if you still have the label. Like I'm guessing it's your line of clothing. So can you share a little bit about your style and how it came about?
I had these two close friends in secondary school, it's like high school, when like we're 15 or 16, and they were all wearing black. I just wanted to fit in, but after doing it for a while, I just felt that it was part of my identity. And I started exclusively wearing black maybe like 2007, 2008. I started a blog with my best friend called Monoxious, which was the website that you're
Right.
we're looking at. So we will be documenting our outfits. That was the era of bloggers, not vloggers. So yeah, I would just be exclusively wearing black. And I just felt that, clothing and what we wear is an extension of how we want the world to perceive us, or how we want to express ourselves. And at that point of time, I just felt that black was a don't mess with me color. Yeah, just to deter strangers from talking to me, because like I had this resting bitch face anyway. So it was just to get strangers to stop talking to me, or just to put on an armor against the world. And at that point of time also, it was easier to do laundry. There was a practical reason. Yes, you just throw everything in the same basket, in the same load, and you don't need to separate it. It was so easy to do laundry, and everything will always match. And even when you're out shopping, I just find that there's just less decision paralysis, because you just hit straight to the corner with all the black stuff, and you narrow it down already. So it makes shopping much easier. You don't have to decide, oh, which color should I get? Just get black. Yeah.
And not only that, everything will match already. Like you don't even have to think about whether your bag or your shoes or whatever, because if everything is the same color, it will always match. But I do want to ask because, you know, I get this comment all the time because recently I've anyway, so just long story short, I've started, you know, getting into Hermes and Hermes bags, and literally every quarter bag that I got up until recently is black, which I have no problems with because I love black, but I also do like colors. I just like neutrals and black just because it's easier for the temperature and the weather here. But people always comment or they would say something like, oh, it's always black, so boring, this and that. So do you find for yourself at any point in time where you want to like step outside of the black comfort zone, or not really at all?
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't been wearing black all my life. You know, I've had the chance and opportunity to experiment with colors and style. I just find that it eliminates a lot of the decision making process in your day to day life. So you're not so tired of choosing what to wear or whether this thing matches with that thing, or you know what to wear for dinner or to work and all that sort of stuff. So to me, it's a mental load off my back. Yeah.
Mm. I love how you say that. I love how you say that because there's always a negative connotation, especially, I guess, maybe more so on the luxury community where, you know, people are like, no, add more colors, this and that. But there's really nothing wrong with just sticking to the neutrals, and if not more specifically with a simple black bag, right? Even though it all looks the same at the end of the day, but they're still different bags. So I love your answer for that. So you talked a little bit about how you started in secondary school because of your friends. So would you say that that's how your style evolved? Like how like it hasn't changed since?
No, I think that was a lot more experimental. You know, when you're young, you're just trying to figure out who you are in the first place. And, you
Still
know, you're
doing it.
just trying everything. So, you know, whatever silhouettes or the way the clothes fit you, you're just trying to figure out what suits you. So like I mentioned, you know, I think I kind of took it literally that, you know, clothing's your armor. I had like
Mm.
studs and buckles and stuff like that. So I was trying to portray like, you know, the punk rock kind of aesthetic. It was very out there. It's almost like venturing down like costume territory already. It's very over
Mm.
that. But you know, right now I still like that aesthetic. I still like my studs, still like my buckles, but it's a little bit more understated these days. Like you don't wear top to toe with studs. You
Mm.
pick like elements on your bag, maybe your shoe, maybe your belt. And you know, it's still telling people not to mess with me, but not not that, you know, end up getting arrested or something like that. But yeah, I think that was a lot more experimental when I was young. I would do a lot more. I would be very loud in my dressing. But now I'm just looking for understated pieces with
Mm.
the
Interesting.
element of edginess or punk or rock added in when I can afford it.
Nice. Okay, if I'm
Nice.
going to ask you a question, since we're still talking about your color, if
Yes.
you were to add one color, like now because you're mainly
Yes.
monochromatic, right? So black. But if you were to say, okay, I think I'm gonna re-venture out, like explore, right? What would be the color that you would add? Like, would it be like a red?
Would it
Or
be cheating if I said white?
I was
I
thinking
knew
white.
you were gonna
Say
say
white.
white.
Okay. Let's eliminate the white and the grays.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually really love red, and
Mm.
I love the Eve Klein blue, the cobalt blue.
Oh.
Oh, interesting.
Despite blue being like sort of a cool color, I think the Eve Klein blue has some sort of a warmth to it, which I really like. So yeah, even when I wear makeup on my face, I tend to gravitate towards blues. Yeah, because I think it
Mm,
suits the tone better. Yeah.
interesting.
I could
Okay,
see
interesting.
that. I mean, it's interesting because people that like, or speaking for myself, I feel like I like very saturated colors. So
Hmm.
aside from for the neutrals, I would rather go for like a red rather than like a very light. ethereal pink. Like it's pretty. I will wear that sometimes too, but for some reason I just really gravitate towards the saturation, and I'm not sure why is that. But okay, let me ask you this next question, which is how did that transition into your love for luxury? Because you do, well, you did a few videos on luxury bags, which is how we found you. So can you talk a little bit about that?
So like we mentioned earlier, I've always been that girl who bought magazines, like fashion magazines, and I was just flipping through, magazines when I was younger, and I love all these campaign images. But obviously, because I was a student, I couldn't afford any of these. But after graduating from fashion school, I joined Singapore Airlines.
Oh,
you're a Singapore girl. You're a SQ girl.
So, but
You're
that
an
was
SQ girl. Oh.
2006. It was very long time ago. I was able to save up for my very first bag. It was a Louis Vuitton Speedy 30. I remember it was so
classic.
cheap then. It was like, I
Yeah.
think 600 or 700
Yeah.
euros. It's unheard of now. You can't even buy a wallet with that price.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think being a cabin crew gave me an opportunity to be exposed to a lot of brands, both fashion and beauty, that weren't even available in Singapore back then. So I was very fortunate to be able to, expose myself to a wide range of luxury fashion, and some of them like very avant-garde designers like Anne de Milmister. I really love her stuff. And your usual Margiela, your Rick Owens, your Gareth Pugh. Yeah, that was what I was interested in, but also the luxury brands, obviously Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Prada. So yeah, I think that was when it began, because I could finally afford them.
Yeah. But I think there's another question. So you also have a love for like vintage, not really vintage. Yeah, vintage finds, because I saw some of your vlogs. You were going around Japan, and you're pretty good at looking for good deals, because I followed there was one video where you actually shared a bag that is vintage, but it's currently now not sort of like reintroduced. I can't remember which bag it was. It was an LV bag.
Remember which one it was either, but I think it all harks back to when you were younger and you're flipping through these magazines and you really love some things. I have to show you an image. This was my ultimate, like my dream. I'm not sure if you can see this, but okay, maybe I'll put it up later on my Instagram. This
Okay.
is a image from the 2004 Dior campaign. It was still John Galliano. It was the Dior Girly collection. So basically, I had my head stuck on this image all the time. Every time I think about, when I was younger, I liked pink. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I was just as you think.
So when I was looking for vintage finds very early back in the day when I was still flying, I saw this bag. I saw one of these bags when I was doing one of those luxury vintage secondhand shopping, and I ended up with two bags from this collection in the end because I was just so obsessed with it. I really love vintage shopping in Japan. The secondhand market is really, really good there. I think the Japanese really took care of their belongings. Everything's always in excellent condition. Um, I also like the idea of letting go of things or acquiring things that no longer serve you, like the bags. If I still had them, I'll probably sell them because they don't serve my aesthetic or my lifestyle anymore. And I like the idea of somebody else, maybe, who was flipping through a magazine like 20 years ago, looking at this image and wishing they had this bag. I think that's a very beautiful thing to be able to, let go of something and then having someone else pick it up and loved it as much as you did when you first got it. I also like the idea that I wasn't creating as much waste because of
Yeah.
vintage shopping. Fast fashion right now, we're just so strongly tied to pollution and waste. And whatever you're wearing now, whatever you're buying now, is going to end up in a landfill. And it's just not right, especially if you've only worn it like once or twice in the year that you got it. I believe in buying good quality items, but with good quality items, it's not always accessible to everyone. A pair of Celine shoes is like 900 euros. But if you find it at a vintage store, maybe it's 500 euros. It's slightly more accessible. And I picked up a pair of Celine pants recently in Japan. It was 40 Singapore dollars. Where do you
Okay,
find that?
wow.
Yeah, so there is the thrill of finding treasures. There is a thrill of knowing that you scored a good deal, and there is the thrill of knowing that you're not creating as much waste. So I think there's a lot of benefits to luxury vintage shopping.
Larissa, I want
Have
to
you ever
ask
done like
you.
on your channel a video on like a video on all these vintage shops in
Not
Japan?
not yet.
You should,
Maybe
because
the
we constantly get questions like that, right? How do we do, secondhand shopping in Japan? I have not done it because I'm not really good at it. Because every time I go there, firstly I get overwhelmed because, like you said, it's a lot. There's just when you go in like Tokyo, it's like store after store after store of LV bags and stuff. So, which are the good shops to look for? What's a reasonable deal? I think those are the kind of questions that I have as a consumer. Where to go? Can I bargain? How do I know if something is worth that price? And
But
yeah,
I also wanted to ask a follow-up question to that, which is for someone like me who doesn't have access to these things in person, like going to Japan is a very far way, and we don't have a ton of consignment or vintage stores here either. I mean, it's not that we don't have any, but we don't have a ton of it, and the selection is very, very limited. So, would you comment about whether you look for these items online as well, and if you do, how would you go
yes.
about that?
I discovered that some of these consignment stores in Japan actually have online stores. So
Mm.
you can actually shop online for bags. Haiti Vintage, I think they do have an Instagram and also an online website. They have two branches, one in Osaka and one in Tokyo, I think. So they do post up, their bags from time to time to sell them online, and they do ship internationally. So that can be something you're looking at. Um, I tend to prefer I would say chain stores, the ones that have several branches.
Mm.
The usual ones are your Second Street, Trafec style, which is the short form for Treasure Factory style, Ragtag, Kindle. So they have like huge selection, and they update their stock very regularly. They also take in consignment if you do want to sell your stuff as well. So I really love shopping in Japan.
I
Yeah,
need to go to Japan. That's it. You need to do the video, and then I go to Japan. I'm like, I
my
went
my
here.
problem is the same as yours, because every time I go in, I get overwhelmed, and I'm such a bad vlogger because my focus was shopping. I was like, oh, I want to make content. No, I want shopping.
Yeah.
Ended up, not taking much, or just taking a few snapshots of, oh my God, this is what I saw today, and then it just gets lost on Instagram stories.
Very good, very good. Let's see. I think
Okay, we have a question from Di. I think her name is Diana.
Oh
Are you
no.
on an MS journey yourself? And what is your view?
did you get
I,
influenced by any of the ongoing social media
I
non-stop
yes and
explosion
no.
of Hermes?
The thing is, last March, I was so fortunate to be able to go on a press trip with Hermes, and it was for the launch of Plein Air, which is the
Right.
tinted moisturizer. And after that, it just sent me down a huge spiral. And after I mean, I'm friends with the PR girls from Hermes in Singapore, and then sometimes they'll invite me to the showrooms to have a look at what they're launching. And you just the bags are so gorgeous, everything is so gorgeous, and you just like tell yourself, okay, that is really the ultimate bag. And I'm actually gonna go to Paris again in September, and also with Hermes. So maybe fingers crossed, I'll finally be able to get my first bag. I don't know what it will be. I have a wish list, of course, but I think it's quite unattainable. Yeah, so I don't know.
You never
You'll
know.
never know.
You have
You'll
to
never know.
try.
So to answer your question, yes, I am trying to embark on this journey. I I think what is an important thing to address over here is, we all know about quota bags. You have to spend a certain amount before you're being able to offer one. I honestly don't think it's right, because people should be able to purchase the bags they want, regardless of what bag it is. Obviously, if it comes to um, things like rare exotic leathers, then yes, I can understand. We don't want to be, again, creating waste, because these are all like animal skin we're talking about. So if we're talking about exotic leathers or things that you are trying to acquire because it's an item you want to put on the pedestal, then yes, maybe quota bags are, to have to spend a certain amount to have the chance to acquire it, then yes. But your Kelly, Constance, Birkin, if you have the budget, or if you have money set aside for it already, it should be what you're paying for, and not having to buy all these other things like your scarves and shoes and belts that you don't really want in order to be offered the chance to buy it. Again, I'm coming from the perspective of trying to create less waste. Yeah,
I
buy
do
things you
have
really
I
want.
do have a sort of because I'm looking at comments, and as you were saying that, it's not that I disagree on either side, but with the limited, how they create everything by hand, this and that, with the limited supply and the high demand, how would they allocate to whom? I suppose. To me, that's the reason why they created this system of shopping. Like, you have to buy things and prove that you are a real client, as opposed to someone who's just buying them to also resell. There's also that issue, right? Which doesn't create waste necessarily, but just kind of that becomes unfair to the real consumer who actually enjoys and loves the brand.
But the thing is, I feel that maybe some customers also have built a base already, and they build their profile with the brand, and they end up being offered a lot of expensive bags, which I end up seeing on resellers or consignment
Oh,
stores.
I see.
What's the argument in that? That's my question as well. Like, I saw so many Birkin Rock and Kelly disorders on a local a local consignment store, and I'm like, where
Right.
they get these? They must be like really, customers with high profile to be offered these bags in the first place,
Right.
and why are you selling them? Yeah.
Mm.
So it creates it creates a market in which you have to end up paying a lot more if you want the bag that you want.
True.
There's only two routes to it. It's either you spend with Hermes by buying a lot of other things you probably don't need or want, or end up being a reseller.
Yeah. I think it created the whole scarcity part of the Birkins and the Kellys. It created this secondary market, right? Because it became so valuable and something for people to chase. So naturally, it just happened that people who have been spending would get these bags, and they can see that I can make a profit out of it. But then on the regular consumer, let's say the regular person who says, I really want the bag, I really love the brand, they are the ones that are caught in the bind, which is where you're coming from, or most of us are coming from, because it's not fair, right? Because I just want one bag, but now I have to create this whole profile and spend. So it's a hard conversation, but as a business, Hermes, they love it.
Of course,
They love it.
definitely. I mean, I'm not saying that that it's wrong to do it, it's unethical to do it, but if it works for them as a business, and you know what you signed up for.
Mhm.
You're trying to get something from that. If you want to get out of the system, you just either don't buy the bag or you buy from a reseller. You know,
Yeah.
you can make noise about it, but you know, things are probably not going to change. So it's
Yeah.
either you put up with it or
Yeah.
you do some other and have some other way to purchase it. So you know, I don't exactly like hate it. I can understand where they're coming from, and you know, the people who are longtime fans of Hermes would like their community to probably remain small and elite, and this is probably one of the ways to do it. So you know, it's fine. The system is there. Just let it be.
It's
Mhm.
true. It's true. It's like if you do it, like if you decide, because it's so established right now, right? It's literally buy from the store, do the whole, be part of the whole system, or go and
Yeah.
buy in the resale market. It's so established. It's so understood to a certain extent. You actually go, if you go in, you literally go in with eyes wide open, like, all right, let's go into this rat race.
Yeah, you got to set a
And
budget for the other
yeah,
things.
yeah. And after a while, which I think most of us who are, in the race, you really, like you said, you've been to some of the press shows, you really see the stuff that they make. You go like, okay, yes, I'm in this race, but gosh, there are some really nice things. So then your
Right.
eyes get a little bit, your thought process does change a little bit. It's not so much like, all right, I'm on a hunt, which is true, but at the same time, the items that you get, of course, should suit what you buy and it suits your lifestyle. But you know that they're really, really good stuff. So
Yes,
I guess
for sure.
that's the consolation.
You're not wrong. Like I think for me, it's not just viewing a bag as a bag. It's to admire the artistry or the design or the amount of work that goes behind a piece of like a bag or a piece of garment. Yeah, and I think I'm very privileged and very honored to be able to handle some of these things like up close without the
Yeah.
pressure of having to buy them.
Mm.
Yeah. Will you be
Yeah.
vlogging your trip? We'll be looking forward to that.
Oh my God. Okay, if I can get over like speaking in like on the streets, I will try.
It's so normal these days, I guess, in a way. Like, it's you don't have to think of it as vlogging. Like, even if you think of it as just posting, um, like a short 1 minute clip for, let's say, your story, but like it's just a longer story, basically, right? So, okay, we have another question from the audience before we, because we're going to ask you about your special unboxing that you saved for us, which is such a privilege because we're so glad that you saved it just for the show. But Nat wants to know if there was an item that you purchased because of fear of missing out.
Wow. I don't think so because I mean, let's face it, I pay for all these things with my own salary, and you have to be very calculated and almost strategic with your purchases. Like whether it's something that you foresee yourself using for a long time or things that will retain its value. I tend not to do so. To like give into FOMO. I try not to give into FOMO. I don't think there's any like huge ticket items that I bought because of that. Yeah.
That's really
That's
good.
really
You're probably the
good.
first
Yeah.
person
Maybe
to
a
not have
lot of
FOMO.
this. Maybe because you're surrounded by so many beautiful things all the time. Could that be
No,
one?
I think also because my style is so specific.
Yeah.
It's not something that say for example the Valentino PP pink. Everyone was wearing it.
What
I
pink?
would the PP pink, the Valentino pink.
Oh, the recent pink color, like the super pink. Yeah.
Yes. So that I would not buy that simply because it's pink. So a lot of these trends most of them do come with colors, and that's completely eliminated from my closet anyway. So I probably that cuts out some of the FOMO factor. Like I won't be FOMO.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Would you
Like if
say-
everything came out in red, like for me, like red's not my color, but if let's say the whole trend was all red, I'll be like, yeah, there's no FOMO there. Even if I love the bag, there's just no FOMO there because it's not the style, right?
Correct.
Would you say that because of your monochromatic style, and especially with just black, that it makes you more of a minimalist?
Judging from the way I'm looking at my closet, I don't think I'm a minimalist.
Okay.
But I do gravitate towards some sort of a uniform sometimes. Like, I've been really into just crop top and pants these days.
Right.
So in that aspect, if I were to continue on that or expand on that, then yes, you could view it as a minimalist wardrobe. But I like to change it up sometimes. I don't really think I'm a minimalist. Yeah, I know. Definitely not.
No, okay. Just wondering. Okay.
Right,
So
pull out that one. Yes.
yeah. So we want to know if you could show us or talk about your oldest and newest bag, which I know you saved your newest bag for a live unboxing for us.
We can make her bigger. Let's make her bigger.
The oldest bag, like what I mentioned it just now, it was like my first bag was a Louis Vuitton Speedy 30. It didn't even have a bandolier. Like it was not the bandolier.
Yeah.
And I still have it, but it's with my mom. She loves it. It's a very roomy bag. I think it was a very good first luxury bag for me. Yeah. Technically, it's still within the family, so it's still mine. Yeah. So want to talk about the newest bag?
Yes.
Let's make
please.
it bigger. Hang on.
Oh gosh.
Where is it?
Uh,
There it is.
I think it's this one.
Okay, so
the comment.
sorry, the flower fell off.
That's
it's
the
a white
Rue
box.
Cambon boxing. That's the box.
Did you buy it in France, in Rue Cambon?
And so I was there in June, late June, early July. Back then, I think the Matilda collection, the 23A was out, and I surf Xiaohongshu a lot. It's where I get a lot of like the new news about new launches, about bags and fashion, beauty from. And this bag was actually part of the 23A Matilda collection. I knew this bag was in that collection, so when I went to Paris, my intention was actually to send in a bag for repair. Like there was no intention to buy anything, but my essay was so sweet. I went there with my cousin, and then she was asking, so do you have any bags you want to look at? And my cousin was looking for a backpack, and she brought out a really gorgeous 23A backpack as well. I'm not sure if you know it, the backpack that had like a little tiny, almost like an AirPod bag hanging off it. It's almost like a 2-in-1.
Yes, I think I've seen that.
Yeah. And then she turned to me and she was like, is there anything you want to look at? I was like, okay, since you asked.
Let me guess what bag. Is it the 22 mini?
No, it's not. It's not the 22 mini. So she brought out, okay, so I asked for the bag and she was like, okay, let me go look. She brought back one in the right color but the wrong size. And then she brought another one in the right size but wrong color for me just to try, So I was like, I really like the one that I wanted, the one with the right size and the right color. So she was like, oh, okay, let me see what I can do. Then so I think she had to make a few calls. She had to ask her manager. So in the end, they brought it to the store for me. So I was able to purchase it.
It was from another store. They brought it to the
It was
store.
from a store, so they had it transferred to her store so that I could get it there.
Wow, that's a great story.
Is it a mini Chanel? I'm just guessing. So she says not a mini 22. I'm thinking mini rectangular 23A. I'm not familiar.
I know which one it is, so I'm not gonna guess because
I don't know. I told you.
I'll let the audience guess instead. What do you guys think it is?
It's definitely black.
I got back from Paris on like 6th or 7th of July. It's been like in this
Oh my
box.
goodness, you haven't opened it yet. Wow, that is such a privilege.
All right, let's see
So,
it. It's black. I know it's black.
Yeah, obviously it's gonna be black.
We've got to walk. No, I think it's too big. The
A
box is
walk?
too big for a
No,
walk.
not in this kind of
To
box.
be a shock if it comes out as like not black.
You haven't
Ah.
seen it really? Like really,
Is
really?
it a hot dog bag?
No, I'm kidding.
It's a classic. Ooh, it's nice.
Oh, wow.
It's really like it's like your style that you were describing to the T, literally. It's like
Yeah. Oh my
really
gosh, even the
rocker chic.
hardware.
Yes, a so black. I've always wanted a so black.
It's beautiful.
Oh, it's
Wow.
beautiful.
like
So
this
cool. Oh my goodness.
and you could still put your phone in there. And I like the 2.55 because there's like 2 grommets on each side, so
Yeah.
you don't actually have to use like a chain shortener. You could still wear it as a shoulder bag or a crossbody.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's
Well,
not
it's so
the,
much
it's not
better
the-
in person. My goodness.
yeah, it's not the 2.55, is it? It's not the flat version.
No, it is. It is.
Like you can flatten it. if you want
Oh,
to.
but it's different though.
Is it different? Is it because it's so
No,
small?
it's the same cat. It's just seasonal. They just made it into this colorway for that season.
But it's so square.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that it, like, remember how mine is so square too, because I always store it standing up, but a lot of people do squish it, and it's supposed to be squished because that's the style. But a lot of people also store it just standing up so that it stays this shape.
The SA told me that when they found Coco Chanel's 2.55, it was just hidden underneath a stack of books. So that was why it was flattened.
Oh, wow! Congratulations! It's so your style, like really full black.
Yeah, I'm so happy I found this. It's such a good bag. It's really one of the dream Chanel bags that I wanted. Yeah. Anything is good bag.
It's just so, like, as you were describing your style, it really is literally your style, and it's made for you. Like, this bag is literally made for you. So amazing.
That is still quite understated. Like, almost if you had no idea what Chanel or you have no concept of what like the branding and the history behind Chanel, then this is just like a regular bag to other people.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah, everybody's like, yeah, so pretty. Congrats.
Thank you so much for saving it for us. Oh my goodness. Because we asked you to join us for a while now. So I can't believe you actually didn't unbox it until now. I thought you would have at least used it secretly.
That I had this bag, and my cousin, of course, because she was with me. But yeah, very happy. I can finally wear it out now.
You really saved it. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this, Arissa. What is your current favorite luxury pieces? So we want to know your favorite bags, jewelry, shoes, whatever you wanna share with us.
I have an unhealthy obsession with Prada monoliths.
Oh.
Yeah, the monolith. I have like the boots, the loafers, a pair of studded derbies. You see them on my Instagram all the time. I would probably wear them to death. Because it's such an edgy piece. Like it's a don't mess with me shoe. So and yeah, it's white, so that's nice as well. And in Singapore, when it rains, I don't have to worry about my water getting in my shoes because it's so high anyway. Yeah, so I'm really obsessed with Prada monoliths. I have a colleague working for her world. She has even more than me because she actually wears colors. So she has like white ones, and she has like the sandals and the padded ones as well. She has like 5 or 6 pairs of Prada monoliths.
Prada monoliths.
That is not fashion.
Wow.
For bags, I got the Celine Romy quite recently
Ah,
in Dubai as
Oh, that's
well.
really popular now.
Yeah, I got the men's version. I like the men's version because the hardware is silver and it comes with 2 straps, so you can wear it on the shoulder or as a crossbody. It's really a work bag for me because like I can put everything I need inside, even my laptop if I want to. So I like that it's also kind of understated. There's like no huge monograms or like logos. It's just like one gold foil Celine word on the top. Yeah. So these two are my current obsession. I'm not so much of a jewelry person,
mm.
so I hardly wear accessories like earrings and necklaces or rings. I only wear like my wedding ring. That's it.
Mm.
Goes with the style also, like quite, because jewelry can be quite flashy, and it just
Mhm.
with your whole style, I think, yeah, just a little bit would add some, but not too much.
Mm.
I see a question from, I don't know how to pronounce this.
Yeah,
Senha
let's
Satya.
pull it.
That's right.
Do you think at some point Hermes bags will go out of style? Are more people on the Hermes journey now? Oh, sorry. Are there more people on the Hermes journey now, or has it always been the case? Are we just more aware due to social media?
I
That's
think
three
it
questions.
goes both ways. Because of social media, a lot more people are able to flaunt what they have or what they own. And because of that, it creates a desire also. So, it works both ways, I think. But what do you
Yeah.
guys think?
um, I don't know if it will actually go out of style necessarily. I feel like if anything, Hermes, just like Chanel and LV, they have very much been well established in terms of popularity, I think. Obviously, Hermes being so much more exclusive, um, not as many people will participate, I think, but more people know about it and understand how to approach it now. So it seems like it's more popular. And like you said, it's a two-way street for that reason. I personally don't think it will get out of style, but at the same time, I don't think that we should just buy it because it's in style. You should buy it because you actually like it and appreciate it, and if it fits within your style as well. Like for instance, there are many bags at Hermes that I actually don't care to fancy. Like it's just not something that I would see myself wear, or it's just a little bit funky for me, or you know just not for me basically, right? And that's fine because you don't have to like everything that your favorite brand makes. On the other hand, you also can like something that is not from your favorite brand, but it's something that you really enjoy. So it's to me, it doesn't even matter, if anything, that it's not in style or goes out of style, if even, which I don't think it will.
I think the thing with MS is that it's so strongly tied to history, legacy, artistry that they're not creating trendy pieces.
Correct.
So, these are pieces that are going to remain beautiful and timeless for many years to come. And in the spirit of legacy, it's something that you would pass on to, say, your daughter, your son, to someone else who is going to enjoy it. I actually interviewed Gregoris, the beauty director of Hermes, and he said something that really resonated. He says nobody ever throws away anything from Hermes.
Yes,
Nobody.
that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. You repair it or you embrace the patina. So nobody throws away Hermes. I don't think it's something that will go out of style in that sense.
That's a good way to put it. Um, I agree with both of you, but about the point on, are we more aware of it due to social media? I think it's because we are on social media. We feel like everybody's on it, but I always, we talked about this before, Amy. It's like when you take a step back and you come into your real life, not
Mm.
out of social media, you're not seeing Instagram, Hermes is not really everywhere. In Singapore, maybe it's more, you see more often. You see a Birkin here and there in Orchard, but in actual fact, it's actually not very, very common. LV obviously is more because it's, I guess, more accessible. But I think it's just we are aware because we are looking for it, and we are in the luxury community. You are looking for a luxury bag. So I always tell some of my friends who are, because I do luxury YouTube, right? If they find me, like school friends, or their wives, or somebody who knows me and say, oh, I know your friend who is, the only reason they will find me on a channel is because they're looking for a bag. But other than that, nobody knows. Like, nobody would actually be aware of me being on a luxury YouTube channel. So similarly, if you are looking and seeing like, why is everybody Hermes? It's because you're looking for it. You're looking for it, you clicked on it, you find it, and it's just being fed to you.
Yeah, in real life,
it's very prevalent.
Yeah, and to your point, in real life, it depends the locality as well. Like in real life here, I don't see anybody wear Hermes bags unless I'm going to Hermes store, or unless I'm in a very, very posh store in downtown, which, there's only one store that, people would kind of be carrying these bags around, and it's very rare that you even see them. And it's not just my words. My friend, our common friend Clara, came back to her hometown for a couple of weeks, and she witnessed it as well, because I kept saying it. I'm like, nobody cares in Canada. Nobody cares about luxury, what you carry. They don't even look at you in a way. Everyone's just so casual. So when I wear my bags, I don't feel like I stand out too much in a way that people will always stare at me. But at the same time, I am self-aware sometimes that sometimes people are just wondering, oh, what's this? It's so nice. And they don't know, and they ask, and I feel a little bit kind of awkward to tell them like, oh yeah, it's, from here, from there. And sometimes they're just curious, but they don't actually know the extent of how luxurious they are. And that's fine. It's just curiosity. But yeah, people here just really, really don't care. And unless you are specifically looking or researching, it seems bigger than you think. And if you think of,
it seems as not.
Yeah, and people that actually watch luxury related content, it's such a minuscule, small portion of the whole YouTube land. Like there's so many channels and so many people on YouTube that luxury, like the main luxury people, it's like we all know them already. It's like just like you can count them. You can probably, I don't know, there's probably just a very small amount, and it's just everyone already in the entire world is so small. So in the grand scheme of things, it might seem more popular because it is, if you follow people that are in it, but otherwise it's not. And who cares? Like, no one cares.
Maybe because I'm part of editorial, sometimes I do get invited to, some fashion or beauty events. You do see a good number of fashion people, influencers.
Yeah.
They do carry expensive bags, but sometimes you got to take it with a pinch of salt. You look at social media, there are pictures of them, at these events. But sometimes, because say some brand is launching something new, these things might be on loan to these influencers to wear. So they may or may not necessarily own it. So you have to adjust your expectations as well on your own luxury journey, so to speak. You absolutely do not need all these things. It's a want. So you don't have to compare yourself to them. Yeah, so I think it's important to keep that in mind. Social media is a lie sometimes, a huge lie. So I think it's important to stay grounded and to like what you said, to notice things around you. It's really not that popular or prevalent,
Yeah.
Actually, social media is a lie most of the time. I think a lot of people take
it's like Facebook, right? You only post the best things. You don't post like you're like,
no, but Facebook, at least it's like kind of it is more for family and friends in a way. It's still kind of, you're just posting the best of your best time that you're experiencing, but you're not really showing whenever you're not, right? Or you're just day to day, very normal, boring life. And Instagram is even worse in the sense that, you know, it's so played out. Like everything that is shown is the best outfit, this and that. And me including, I'm not gonna deny it. I always and I don't post that often for that reason, because I'm not dressing up every single day. But like whenever I do post a picture, is my best outfit of the week. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's also not just, that's not the reality 100% of the time. It's probably like 5% of the time, you know, like it's very small part of my life, of anybody's life in Facebook. Whenever you see their best, like some of those so cool pictures where it's like a different angle and there's like a paradise behind them, all of that is just not fake, but it's very small percentage of their life, really,
Very
right?
curated.
Yeah.
Very curated. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Okay. Good question. Thank you.
Actually, we have a question. I really love to ask this question. What is your ideal number of handbags?
How many? Oh wait, how many do you have? Like, how many do you have first, and then we'll talk about your ideal number, or maybe it is your ideal number where you are.
No,
She's counting.
Yeah, I'm actually like looking across the room and looking at them, but you know, not all of them are luxury bags. There are some bags that, you know, just suit the utility that was designed for. Like I have camera bags that sometimes I'll bring. I'm not gonna bring like the Celine Romy to Iceland.
Yes,
True.
Bring a backpack to Iceland. So, you know, ideal number of bags. I assume this refers to luxury bags. I guess you need one for everyday carry. You need a nice evening bag and an in between. But
3.
yeah, all honesty,
Are you sure you're not a minimalist?
in all honesty, you don't need any of this. Every single one of the luxury bag is a privilege to own. Yeah.
3. She's really saying 3.
Yeah, you honestly only need 3. Yeah. And if I were to keep these, like if I were to keep 3, it would be the Chanel 22. I really love that bag a lot. This.
Yeah. Actually, that's 5. You can choose. Okay, choose 3 and then choose 5.
Okay. Okay. I've already picked 2. So, I just posted a video recently on the Chanel Gabrielle backpack. I really love that backpack. It's such
You had that.
I had it for a very brief moment.
Oh,
I didn't like it. I didn't like how fussy it is to get in and out of it for me.
I do see the cons of that bag, especially, you know, the chains being uneven after you one side. And you know, maybe back then when you bought it, they didn't have these like chain adjusters.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So now
So
that
it. That's good.
chain adjusters make it so much easier for you to like take things in and out of your bag without you know having. It's kind of fiddly. I do agree with you. Without the chain adjusters, it's such a painful bag to carry out.
Yeah. I didn't like it at all.
So those 3. So that's what? So again, 22. The new
they're all
bag,
Chanel bags so far.
Oh no, I like the YSL listing cassette, not the small one, the bigger one that I have on Instagram. Yeah, that's like a good in between bag. Like if I just want to throw things, I don't want to have to arrange them. You know, sometimes you got to play bag Tetris to go out. Like yeah, I don't. It's a bag that you don't really have to do a lot of bag Tetris. So you just like dump stuff in and you go out. And then maybe the last spot will be reserved for a dream Hermes bag.
Good answer.
Leaving that slot like
Bye, Romy. I was thinking she's gonna say Romy. Celine's Romy.
I think the Romy and the 22 kind of serve similar purposes in that it's a huge bag. It's stuff that you can just dump in, and it's good for work. You know, and still it's presentable. Yeah, I think the Chanel 22 serves that purpose.
I think the Chanel 22 is just so much cooler in its own way, and I think when I see you carry your Chanel 22, it's totally your style. It has exactly that vibe. It's just
I absolutely hated it when it came out. Like I would tell people, I would tell people, oh my god, this bag, why? But after I saw it on like someone, and you know, they look good carrying it, I was like, okay, I can see the appeal of this bag. Like it's a shock to the system because it's not your usual Chanel design. In black, it looks like a garbage bag.
It does.
Especially if you have a larger size too.
The truth, like if in the larger sizes, it just kind of looks like a garbage bag. It's like kind of
and especially if you fill it up. If you fill it up and then you carry it like this.
But it's a bag that looks so much nicer in person.
Yeah.
When you try it on, you'll be like, oh, okay, I can see the fuss behind this now. Yeah. So yeah, the Chanel 22, one of the bags I'll definitely keep around.
Which is interesting because you mentioned all Chanel bags, like your top 3 is Chanel bags. So it almost makes me think that it's your favorite brand. Actually, there's a question about favorite brands here from M. Lee. Do you have any favorite fashion houses, and which brand speaks to your style the most?
I tend to gravitate towards French fashion houses because maybe coming from somebody who has studied fashion, you appreciate the history, you know who the creative directors are, you know their vision for the house, and you see, like for Chanel, the branding is so strong. You look at the quilt, the hardware, the camellia flower, pearls, black and white, monochrome, two-tone shoes. These are so distinctively Chanel that, you know, you have to appreciate that the branding was so strong.
Yeah.
And the style and the messaging has always been consistent. You always have tweed fabrics. So I wouldn't say that, you know, oh, Chanel is my favorite brand, I'm gonna be loyal forever. But you know, I do appreciate like these, what do they call, pillars of the Chanel house that form the Chanel house, like the colors and the fabrics and the hardware that make the messaging so strong for them. I also love Dior. Wow. I know John Galliano has said some really awful things, but as a creative director for the brand, it was what made fashion so exciting when he was creative director. Everything was theatrical. His silhouettes are amazing. The embellishments on the clothes are so beautiful. So fashion at that point of time when I was actually a fashion student, was so exciting because of these people. So I have a huge appreciation for them. Lately, I've been very into Celine for some reason.
And why is that? Because the aesthetic is quite different though. Because when you're talking about, you know, like the French brands, like even Chanel, when Carl was, it's very fantasy with all the fashion shows that he was doing and the creations. It's that fantasy of Chanel, right? It's so beautiful, the Chanel girl. But Celine is like complete opposite, right?
So the thing with like Karl Lagerfeld and John Galliano, they are selling you a dream, a fantasy, right? But Celine, Hedi Slimane is selling you a reality that you could look like these models on the runway if you wear my clothes, if you wear my bag, if you wear my shoes. So and also, you know, they picked like the best ambassador. I mean, Lisa from Blackpink.
Yes.
This brand just explode in popularity.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are also, like I mentioned, like pillars of Celine as well, like the Celine Freon, their Freon canvas as well, that makes it so recognizable. So I think lately it just resonates a lot more with me. like, achievable, and, being able to
Fresh.
look fashionable without looking like theatrical.
I feel
What
like
do you think of the
Celine
new
looks fresh.
Chanel, like after Carl? Oops, sorry. You want to go first? You go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like Celine gives you that freshness and that young, youthful vibe that
Yes.
is very different from Chanel, which is a little bit more, I don't want to say traditional, but it's we've always associate Chanel to be a bit more mature, and it has all the quilts and whatchamacallit, quilts and, oh my goodness, their
Tweed?
jackets.
The tweed
No.
jacket.
You said it earlier. I just escaping my memory. Quilts and tweed, and it's just like that vibe is a little bit more mature in a way.
I was gonna ask, like, then after Carl, what's the designer's name? Vivian, is it? The current Chanel creative director.
Oh, Virginie Viard.
Yes.
Virginie. Yeah. So, what do you think of her style? Because I think after Carl, everybody, obviously it was a transition. Everybody said, "Oh my God, so boring, so plain, so everyday." It's so Zara. But then there is, I think we all can agree, even though it's transition, I think it's more fashion accessible. Okay, not price accessible, just fashion. It just feels like I can wear it a little bit, like what you're saying with Celine. You can actually imagine, like, oh, I could wear that. Yeah, I could wear that top, that belt, that pants. It's not too out there. So I feel like that's the style that she's put out in the past few seasons.
You have to agree and understand that being in Karl Lagerfeld's shadow all this time since 1982, those are huge shoes to fill. And I think with the dream of every creative director of a fashion house, especially, big one like Chanel, you are trying to make your mark. And for her, I think she's just treading a very fine line between, trying to maintain the pillars of the house. She's working with confines, like she has to stick to, the usual pillars of the house. And at the same time, try and break out of it. Try and show that, this is her stamp. This is her stamp and her take on Chanel as a fashion house. And, she co-designed the Chanel 19 with Karl Lagerfeld. The 22 was the first one that she designed on her own, and it is quite far from the usual classic flap 2.55 and Chanel 19 and Boy, because this doesn't have that. But I think people are slowly getting used to the idea that, hey, it could look a little bit younger, it could look I would say maybe not as mature, not as refined. You could be like, a girl living in California, putting on a t-shirt, jeans, and carrying a Chanel 22. And that it's that idea that you don't have to be so curated, so put together, that makes Virginie Viard so interesting as a creative director for Chanel. Like it's making it, like you said, accessible or achievable. So I think that is what she's trying to do. I don't think she's trying to destroy a legacy. Like, it's the era of Karl Lagerfeld has come and gone. He was fantastic. He held some of the most amazing fashion shows that will be ingrained in our mind. Chanel Supermarket, Chanel Airlines.
The rocket.
Yes, exactly. So those are a spectacle, and those will remain in the history books or fashion history. But Virginie Viard probably, it's a quieter take on this. It's more casual. In Mandarin we call it 随性, I guess, take on this. So I don't think there is a good, bad, right, wrong. it's just different now. You can't expect 2004 Tom Ford Gucci to be the same as the Gucci now.
Oh my God, please bring back Tom Ford. Oh my God.
Completely different, yes, completely different. If you don't end up the brand doesn't resonate with you anymore, then maybe it's time to look for a different one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a
And I
change for
think
Gucci. Tom Ford to Alejandro.
Yeah, I love Tom Ford Gucci. That was like
Yes.
of like really sexy Gucci without being too crass. Yeah.
but I think that it's it's however well Karl Lagerfeld did and all the more sort of like such grand designs and shows that these designers had in the past, I think it needs to change over time anyway, because I think for us with like our age group, let's just say, right, like the people who are in the 30s to maybe 50s, let's just say, right, we are kind of like, we grew up in that era where it's like all the 90s and stuff like that that we are attached to. But eventually the market that is our age, that is going to be our age, they are the ones, the younger ones, that will become our age and will have that kind of money and resources to spend on these fashion houses, and it has to cater to them eventually, right? So it's just starting that transition in a way. I don't like, whenever Virginie came into the picture, I never really thought of her as being like, oh, she's not gonna be able to carry the legacy and this and that. For me, it's just like she has to do what she's capable to do and her own vision, executing her vision. But also she has the pressure not only of carrying whatever is the legacy, but also to cater to the new generation, which I think is a whole different challenge. But I think people like us who are still stuck in the past, or like, stuck in the liking the stuff that is more like in the past, needs to let go of that somehow, somewhat, because the new generation will be our age eventually, and they are going to be the ones spending the money. And so it's sort of like a natural evolution, I find, and it has to be that way. I feel like a lot of the things that the young people like now, I'm just like, why? Like, to me, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, why? But you can't say that about them, because that's what our parents said about us too. So like,
True.
yeah. Okay, this is a great question for you, and I guess a lot of our viewers here also in Singapore watching live, they want to know how you store and maintain your bags. And Kat has spoke about it a lot, but just curious about you.
Well, leather care, when you first purchase a bag and it's really important to you and you're trying to maintain its value or the way it looks, I guess the best way is to send it to a bag spa and have some sort of a protective coating, waterproof coating, because in Singapore it can be sunny 1 minute and like it can be pouring the next. So you don't want to be caught in a situation where you have moisture on your bag. So if it happens, it's not the end of the world. Just wipe it off and, go home and try and condition it. In terms of bag storage, I never stack my bags. Some people, they just kind of like put stuff in a drawer or on the shelf, and then they kind of like rest on each other. Things like hardware, when you press it against soft leather, there's going to be dents. So don't do that. Yeah, try to make space. If you have no space that you have to stack your bags, then maybe it's time to let go of some of them, because I'm sure you won't be wearing all of them if you had to stack your bags. Yeah. And for myself personally, I do have like a dehumidifier running in the room, like not directly near it. It's just like in the vicinity of the room, to try and firstly to monitor the humidity levels, and secondly to try and reduce the humidity levels. In Singapore, it can be like 70-80%, which is kind of insane.
That's high, yeah.
And there was like a bout of wet weather. I'm not sure if you remember this, Kat. Like earlier this year in like February, there was like a whole entire stretch of rain in Singapore, and like my leather jacket started getting moldy and stuff. So you got to wipe it away with leather cleaners that are also mold killers, so to speak, but it's actually still very gentle for leather. And to prevent it from coming back, I actually had to place it in the storeroom where another one of my dehumidifier is running to just kind of stop the growth, because sometimes these mold can be very persistent. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like day-to-day conditioning, you know, mold killers and stuff like that, to help maintain the bags.
So would you say that you have to basically inspect your items every now and then, like periodically, but quite frequently as well?
The best way is to use your bags often.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you know, if you use it a lot, then or you use it often, then you know there's less chances of these mold growing. So again, if you have too many, you're not using them as much, then that's where some of these problems do come in. So maybe 3 is all you need.
It
Three.
forces you to have
Can't do
less.
3. But yeah, thanks for sharing. I think both of us agree that the Singapore weather here it's just really, really treacherous for leather items. And yeah, that time where it was so wet. I mean, it's great to sleep and great to just hang out, but it was terrible because my cupboard, like my entire cupboard, because it's wood, it was covered with mold. I was like, what is that? Like round green patches. I was like, oh my God. I had to take out all the clothes and wipe down the whole cabinet, like not sanitize, like wipe it out because it was just growing, right? So it hasn't really sunk in. And then right after that, I bought myself an industrial size dehumidifier. And I have not had any issue with that. Like a real big one. And it takes away the moisture from the house, and it's on 24/7. It keeps the humidity level in check. But still, like you said, you gotta take it out, you gotta give it a look, you gotta moisturize it, use it, of course. But that's the best way, because humidity on top of mold is actually really bad because it keeps the leather like wet. And over time, it does, like when it's wet and dry, actually it is really bad. It cracks. So
Is it because you guys don't have the AC on at all times? Because the AC also
lately.
dehumidifies the place, right? I'm just wondering. It's not because it's not a trick question. It's just like, because you know how in Canada we don't have AC because we have more winter than summer. Like we have basically 9 months of cold, and only 3 months it's like kind of, well, 2 months is kind of warm and 1 month is hot. That's it. So we have the opposite of your problem. We have more dryness, in fact. But I would imagine in Singapore you would have AC at all times, unless you're not at home, right? So is that why?
I tend not to switch on my AC actually. So that's why I have the dehumidifier.
Right.
yeah, I don't usually turn on the AC until recently because my dog has a lot of fur, so I have to turn it on. But by leaving it on throughout the day, even on a light, I can feel that it does dry up the air a little bit, and I can feel myself like drying up. But I prefer not to have the AC on. I just like it, but then to manage that, then the dehumidifier, like Arissa, you're saying, it just helps. Because it can't be completely dry. Like that's also bad. Like you have to have like, because I read somewhere that leather, the best like humidity is about 40%. Like it's a little bit like you have all this camera equipment that you have. I'm sure you considered having a dry box.
Yes,
Yeah,
a dry box.
and it's humidity control. I think there's like a certain percentage. It can't be 0 because then it'll dry up and it'll be spoiled. But it has to be not just below that amount where bacteria will grow. So if I'm not mistaken, I think it's between 45 to 50%. That's the best. And so I kind of like set my humidifier about 55, 60%. And then that's every time it goes up, you can hear it at the background.
Yeah, so it's actually we have the luxury of that in Canada in a way that it is cold in the winter, but our humidity it ranges between 30 to 50% all year round.
Mm-hmm.
It's just drier in the winter because the heaters are on.
Mm-hmm.
But even in the summer, like outside is like 50%. It's still just about optimal
Mm.
humidity for everything. So we don't have those issues, unfortunately for the folks there.
Mm.
Which when I heard about it the first time, I was like, "What? This is crazy." um, Arissa, can you tell us about your? Oh,
I think
wait,
we
no,
answered
we
this.
did that
We
already.
answered this
There was
already.
another one. I think it's your most or least use. Oh no, not that one.
No, this one, the tits. I see it. Let me pull it for you. There you go.
Ah. Oh wow. Hmm.
I think we constantly get like new people watching
Yeah.
on a regular, especially once it goes like now live, and then we
Hmm.
also get this question quite often.
Hmm.
How do you start your collection? What's good to buy first? How do you know if you should invest in a bag? So I think those are, if you're really getting into the first time, it's quite expensive and it's scary.
Hmm.
So yeah, we'll like to hear your thoughts.
I'm of the camp that whatever you buy now might not serve you 3, 5, 10 years later.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's your favorite bag now. Like right now, this is my favorite bag, but I don't know if like 5, 10 years down the road it's going to be my favorite bag. And I think you got to go into with the mindset that this first luxury bag, it's not going to be with you forever. Or your first property, your first house, is not going to be a forever home. So if
Mm.
you go in with that kind of mindset, then I think it's best to choose one that is of a classic design and color from a brand that will retain its value. So, like say maybe you want to buy a Chanel classic flap or Lady Dior, something that will sort of still retain its value is going to be in as a classic lineup, as a classic bag in that brand for a long time. And then maybe 5, 10 years down the road, if you still like it, good for you. But if not, then you still can recoup back some of the money because luxury bags are expensive. And being able to sell something that you are not using anymore, doesn't serve you anymore, or it doesn't fit your lifestyle anymore, it's a good thing. Somebody else is going to pick it up because they like that bag. And the whole cycle about like sustainability, creating less waste, that fits into the decision of when you buy your first luxury bag. So I always feel that your first luxury bag will probably not be with you forever. So pick one that will retain its value. Yeah.
Mm. I like
I
that.
love
I like
that.
that. I like that
Yeah.
the fact that you're telling people to start with this mindset. Like,
Yeah.
don't think of it as a forever bag because
Mm.
it wouldn't, right? I don't think I like the same bag. I definitely don't like the same bags that I used to like, but it's hard to let go.
Yeah,
So
of course. There's a lot of sentimental value that comes with buying your
yeah.
first luxury bag. But most of us, like when we start working, getting our first jobs, we save up for a luxury bag. By the time we do, maybe in our late 20s or 30s, it's also the time where a lot of life milestones come about.
Yeah.
Some people become mothers. They're not gonna carry this bag like when they're mothers. They can't fit everything they need in this bag. So with these things in mind, you're just gonna have to make adjustments to your bags based on that. So your first bag is not gonna be with you forever, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I was just telling the girls that now that I have a little puppy, I have to make life adjustments to my bags.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
It's funny because, you always get to see these tags that people create for the luxury community. And it's fun. Like these video concepts are just fun to watch. And people are curious because they always want to know, oh, what are your 5 forever bags or 5 bags that you cannot live without? Or, 5 is just a random number, but like that kind of video. And you know, people watch it and it's all good and dandy until that person changes their mind down the road, whether they sell it or they let it go or something happens. And then they get criticized for those reasons. But it has to be like your lifestyle and just the fact that you no longer like it one day, it has to be taken into account as well, right? So love your answer for that. So basically, if we ask you if you have 5 forever bags, you wouldn't have an answer really then, or would you just say it's forever now, but it'll change eventually?
Yeah, I think things will definitely change. Like I can't guarantee that I won't wear colors tomorrow. So there are things that happen in life that makes us like question our choices, lifestyle choices, or the way we want to do things. Now I gravitate towards like bigger bags because I work, I go out. But who's to say I wouldn't like smaller bags next time?
Right.
Yeah, so I think if you go into this luxury bag journey with commitment to a bag, like why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah.
I'm committed.
Yeah, I'm not saying you should be frivolous. You should like change your mind all the time. But I'm not saying that you should commit to a bag. Like saying that this is my bag for life. I'm gonna have this forever. I'm gonna be buried in it.
Right.
But it's so funny. It's an object.
Yeah.
You use objects. You're not supposed to let them control your life or to be bound by them.
I love this practical approach. I wish I knew it earlier because it took me a lot to let go of bags. I'm very sentimental. So when I get something, it's either the collector mind or the whole I cannot let it go because, it was such an ordeal to get the bag, which is also an element of like something that I want to treasure, right? Because either you jump through hoops with essays or you get through in various stores. It just feels so difficult. And then a few months later, a few years later, like, you kind of like know it in your gut that it's not for you anymore. But then because of those memories of like everything that happened to get the bag, it's really hard. So it's sort of like what you say, if you starting this journey, have that initial mindset, like it may not be there forever. And I think it makes the whole, buying for the next 20, 30 years, if you're still buying, it makes it so much more enjoyable because you get to allow yourself to let go and take in new things.
I think it's only harder on us because, and I'm not sure if you're aware, Arissa, is because we like the way we create content, or at least I do, is
That's
we are
also an element.
basically only talk about bags 90% of the time. Like there's 10% where it's like the Q&As and like the occasional fashion haul. So those are like more of the exception, but most of the time it's about handbags because that's what I started my channel with and what I'm good at supposedly. But people hold your words to it so hard, and when you say certain things like forever or holy grail or whatever, they get very upset when one day it's no longer the case, or maybe it's still the case but you just had to let it go for something else. There's always a reason behind, but they hold you to it so much that it creates such big pressure for you to not change your mind to like
True.
every time there is a change, for example, like a vlog sale or whatever, it becomes such a big ordeal and there's so much negativity that comes
you
our
feel
way
like you
as
have to
well.
justify why this is happening. But I just feel that you just have to go in with a mindset that things are not forever. You could lose the bag and
True.
somebody have robbed it from you
Yeah.
or stolen it. Things they're not going to be around forever. And I'm a firm believer that you should have things to fit your lifestyle. And you yourself as a person is not going to remain the same forever. There has to be growth, there has to be transition. Tomorrow I might move to Bali as a digital nomad. I don't want to carry Chanel bags there. Right? So, just be cool about it. Like the 5 bags that are like important to you right now, the must-haves, will not be the same 5 bags tomorrow.
Yeah.
Years later,
Yeah. Having said that,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything that you're eyeing currently? So
Oh, wow.
you mentioned that you have a dream Hermes bag. Let's just start with this one. Which one would that be?
A dream Hermes bag for
Yeah.
somebody with like 0 purchase history. This is
Yeah,
like
sure.
crazy, and like I really love the Kelly disorder that both of you have.
Oh, yeah.
I really like the Birkin Rock 25. Like I think those speak to me because of how like edgy they look and how non-conventional. I would also, if it's possible, I would really love like a so black Birkin.
Ooh.
Either 30 or 35 in box leather. I really love box leather.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Wow.
0 purchase history, there's no way that's going to happen. So yeah.
In Paris.
Well, in Paris, you'll never know, right?
Yeah.
You'll never know.
In Paris, you can try your chances there. That's where you can get with no purchase history. That's the only place that I'm aware of that you can not walk in necessarily, but like if you somehow have like you connect it with an essay, sometimes without appointments, that can happen. It's very rare, but like it happens. But I think most of the time people nowadays, they just try their luck via the appointment system, and chances are, as long as they have it and they like you, you can try.
Oh my god.
I think that the liking part, you just can't force it. It's whether you click with that essay or not, right? It's almost, if it's meant to be yours, it's just gonna be meant to. Like if you're meant to have a good relationship with that essay that you meet that day, then it's meant to be. And they also have to have the stock at the same time, so everything has to align, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Or maybe you can ask for a special order, like when you're there. It's like,
I have 0 purchase history, guys. I know. Like I know. Yeah, I know.
But it happens. Like it happens with 0 purchase history in Paris. If
I've heard,
all places, that would be the place.
Okay, fingers crossed. I'll keep you guys up if I do manage to get any of these bags.
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like Paris would probably be the only place to get the Kelly en désordre, or like the Birkin 25, as long as it's the color that you want, right? Like having a black hardware one, that might be a bit tricky because that's very specific. But
so black.
Yeah,
I don't have I ever seen a full black Birkin? Is there a full black Birkin, like full, like solid? There is.
When Jean-Paul Gaultier was the creative director, he actually came up with a series of like so black stuff. It was
Wow.
But do they keep making it, or is it just that time?
At that point of time, they started it, but I think maybe it was 2021 onwards they started making it again. But don't quote me on that though. I'm not very certain. But I have seen, like, again, I get a lot of news from Xiaohongshu. So people have been buying like so black Birkins 30, like in 2021, 2022. So yeah, maybe we'll see. Fingers crossed.
All right, I'm pulling this comment out. Mama and Harry, I had 0 purchase history in Paris. Did not have a leather appointment. However, I was able to buy a Birkin 25. Goal on goal, and it happens.
It happens.
Well done.
Wow, congrats. Wow. See?
It definitely happens.
You gotta manifest it. You gotta keep calling it.
I'm gonna put up a vision board.
Yeah.
But of course, if you're
this time, it's next time, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, I said if it's not this time, then it's next time too, right? Like
yeah. The bag's always gonna be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're talking about like non-Hermes bags, I think the new Dior, I'm butchering the name, Toujours. It's a
Toujours?
really nice, yeah, Toujours. It's
Toujours?
a bag that comes with the adjustable straps, so you could carry it on your arm, or you could like adjust it,
Ah,
carry it on your shoulder. It's like, I don't know, it was launched last week or something. Small, medium, and
let
large.
me
It's
share
so
the screen.
uh
Toujours means always.
yeah, Dior Toujours.
This is the
Yeah,
medium size.
yeah, it's gorgeous. The straps are adjustable. It looks like a really good everyday bag, the kind that you can just dump everything you want. See this.
Oh,
So you could carry it on your shoulder, you could carry it on your
yeah.
arm. Yeah, very versatile. And I mean, I'm a sucker for like things that have the elements of the house. So you got the
Yeah.
ganache, you got the Dior charm.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very reflective of the brand, but you know, I can still see it fitting into my lifestyle. Yeah,
And the price point is not bad. This is
yeah.
before tax, but it's still like for such a huge size bag, it's actually really reasonable. I
Hmm.
guess because it's new. Wow.
I think this is probably a better alternative to the book tote, because the book
Yes.
handles are so short. You can only like carry it
Yes.
on your
Yeah.
arm.
Yeah.
And this looks like softer, so it can, mold on your body. Like the book tote is so
Stiff, right? Yeah,
stiff. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
adjustable leather
Yeah,
handle, calf skin. Yeah, it's nice. From spring summer 2023. Yeah. Wow.
gorgeous.
Cool.
Dior is one brand that I have yet to purchase any bags from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've always wanted the Lady Dior, but then
Mm.
maybe I waited too long and now the price has
Mm.
just
Oh,
gone.
yeah.
But maybe a vintage store find
Mm.
in Japan might make it happen.
Mm.
Maybe. I don't think I'll ever buy it from store.
I
It's too
always found that
expensive.
Lady Dior is a little bit too refined and maybe like
Yes.
it's just
Girly.
not me. Yeah, but they had the ultra matte noir version. It's so gorgeous. I mean, I'm a sucker for black and like black hardware. That's so beautiful. I was almost tempted to get one.
Wow. Let's ask. Did you pull up the question, Amy? The last one, number 15.
Yeah,
I
let's
think that's a
pull this
good
up.
question to ask.
This one.
Oh,
From the fashion background, I'm sure you will have
wow.
envisioned your ultimate bag.
Oh, it's funny that we started talking about the Dior Toujours just now. I would honestly, my ultimate bag would have adjustable straps as well, or have multiple straps, like you could hand carry, shoulder carry, crossbody. I think that's quite important to me because sometimes the look and feel or the vibe that you're giving off when you carry a bag differently, it's
Hmm.
very different. Like when you carry a crossbody bag versus a shoulder bag, or if you were to carry it over your arm, it's just like the vibe is completely different. So if this bag can serve that purpose of being able to adapt to whatever clothing style that I decide to wear that day, that would be awesome. It's obviously going to be black, uh, preferably with some kind of a leather that can withstand scratches, so you don't have to be too precious with it. Yeah. And I would say it would also be nice to have some sort of stud or buckle, because that's what resonates with me. It would be nice if the hardware was silver, but it would be even better if it was like gunmetal or black. Because again, that's the kind of thing that I like. It's quite clear.
Yeah.
Uh, like another thing that I really liked was the idea of bag on bag or bag layering, because there was one time, I think on the runway, I forgot, they were layering like a tote bag with another small shoulder bag, like maybe this one but even smaller. So the idea of bag layering is I'm sorry, it's kind of like cheating because it's like two bags instead of one. But if you were able to like hang a bag off a tote
Yeah.
It looks more interesting, and you essentially have another bag. Say, if it was a smaller bag like this one on your toe, you carry it to work, and then you just bring this one out for lunch.
That's what
Oh.
I like the idea, but that's what they were doing a couple years ago when all the nano bags were coming out, and then it was like about carrying either several nano bags or a nano bag with a big bag, which we fully embraced that nano bag trend at the time, and everyone was at the beginning was wondering like, what the heck can you even fit in that bag, which not much, but still enough for it to be a fun addition, or even just like a fun, just sort of like trendy at the time bag, which I still enjoy very much to this day, because it becomes, now it's like my concert bag. Like whenever I go to a concert or like some sort of like show, whatever, you hardly carry anything except a phone on your hand, then it's really nice. But yours will be built in.
Yeah, built in, or with a detachable chain, maybe.
Yeah.
That you can still function as it on its own.
So rather than just a pouch, right? Because usually there'll be a bigger bag and then a pouch. Yours is like bag and bag.
Yeah.
I think Fendi was the one that did the whole double bagging or triple bagging situation.
But it's charms mostly. That one.
The charms, I can't. Yeah.
It's the fact that you can add the charms onto your bag, but those charms also look like bags themselves. So it's sort of that idea in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And if you have like multiple straps on this dream bag, you could remove them and then attach it to the smaller bag to make another new bag.
Sounds like a multi-pochette. Sounds like Elvis multi-pochette, but bag version. Wow.
Yeah, I always like the idea of having like multi-functional things. Maybe it's just the practical side of me speaking. But so it would be nice to have best of both worlds. You have a big bag and a small bag at the same time.
Nice. And which brand would you design for?
Wow. I don't have an answer for you. Because I mean, for all the love that I show for Dior and Chanel, I find that, the house codes, like your Canache or your oblique monograms, or for Chanel, your Camellia and your Tweed, I think they're a bit restrictive to be working within those confines. I don't think my bag will end up like having any of those codes, because they're not what I gravitate towards. Yeah, so like studs and hardware will probably be more like YSL or Givenchy. Yeah, so maybe one of them. Or Balenciaga.
I have a question, and it's not on the list,
Oh,
but I
no.
was wondering. So you've been in the I don't even know how to call it, like the fashion magazine editorial industry for the last decade. What are your, if you can share with us your goals for the next 5-10 years in terms of like what you want to achieve? And
curious. No, it's like asking for my life plans.
Or just what you want to do, I guess.
Honestly speaking, I'm really happy creating content like for other people. I think like the biggest reason why I enjoy being in this industry, despite it being notoriously underpaid, is the fact that you get to expose yourself to all these beautiful things, and you get to talk about them.
Right.
It's like my dream job, man. Every day, get new makeup.
No, I mean, that's like a highlight reel of what's happening in my life, but there are aspects of it, like you got to learn the science behind like skincare. Why does this ingredient work? Why would it not? Or how does it compare against previous versions and stuff like that? There's some science involved in skincare. Makeup not so much, because it's more or less just going to be the same. But yeah, I just like being able to talk about that. Like whether it's skincare, makeup, bags, or cameras, or tech, or laptops, I just like being able to talk and to inform, so to speak. Yeah, so that's what I enjoy doing. whether it takes the form of writing, videos, images. I don't know what is going to what shape or form it's going to take on, but I foresee myself being able to do anything that encompasses content creation for a very long time. This is what I enjoy doing.
How did you end up being in beauty versus fashion, which is what you studied actually?
I think with fashion, my style is so specific. My preferences are so
Mm,
specific. It sometimes makes it really hard to be objective when you're writing about fashion, because there's going to be an instance where you have to write about Gucci prints.
mm,
That
yeah.
doesn't resonate with me at all. Like
Mm.
yes, they are beautiful, but not something I like, not something I'd wear. So it becomes like a tug of war between yourself, your opinions, and having to be objective, because your editorial is supposed to be objective. You're supposed to
Right.
present fact, stuff like that. I mean, there are ad hoc pieces, editorial opinion pieces, where you can talk about your opinions, but those, you might have like one or two stories like that a month, but most of the time you have to be objective. You have to report what's going on, or trend spotting and stuff like that. You can't just be talking about stuff you like. So that's where I made the decision to just mainly do beauty. Yeah,
Mm,
And it's easier to be more object, like because
yes,
you
exactly.
love all beauty.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So like makeup, skincare, there's no bias that comes with it,
mm,
honestly. But yeah, when it comes to fashion, that I have such a specific taste and aesthetic that it can be difficult to talk about like colors and prints and stuff like
yeah,
that without sounding like I'm biased. Yeah.
right.
Makes
I told
sense. Makes sense. Like, I'm totally biased. Like I don't like Gucci.
Oh no, but you like comfort Gucci, right?
But I like Tom Ford Gucci, not the current one. So
Yeah.
but I can imagine, like I'm doing this as a hobby, and I can just
Mm.
say it, right? Because I don't. But if it was a job,
Yeah,
it
you
will be
can't.
really difficult to be
Yeah.
objective because I really don't like it. Because it's just hard to, you know, like rave about, say, a collection that's coming
Mm.
out on certain
Yeah.
brands that I actually don't like because it's not authentic.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like when you're in editorial, the main point is to be objective about what you're talking about, obviously. So yeah, so I already have like some built-in biases about things about fashion. So it's a bit difficult for me to remain objective about this. So I have my likes and dislikes as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
Love
I
it.
think that's like sort of similar to how I have my main preference is Chanel and Hermes right now, and Chanel has always been the aesthetic that I have always liked the most,
Mm.
and it's very hard for me to deviate from that. Like very hard in a sense that I will buy things from other brands too,
Mm.
but at the end of the day, I will always kind of refocus
Mm.
in Chanel and Hermes right now, just because that's what I'm passionate about. And I think that makes it really hard for me to branch out and be like, oh, now I'm this like fashion blogger that talks about everything. But it's not like that. It's like once in a while I'll buy like that one-off thing from the other brands, which I understand from your point of view, where um it becomes a lot harder to be objective in
Mm.
that sense. And then um and it's hard to please the crowd that way, I feel, because
Mm.
obviously other people will like other things and they want you to talk about other things. It's just a
Mm.
little bit harder for me to not necessarily say negative things only, but it's also hard for me to say that I like it, because I
Mm.
don't. I can only describe the item in that
Mm.
sense. Yeah.
Mm. That's true.
But that's super cool to get to know you. And where
Yeah.
can other people find you other than your Instagram and YouTube? Is there any other places?
Or you could visit the Harper's Bazaar Singapore website.
Ooh, yeah.
So you can find me
Subscribe to
on
Harper's Bazaar.
subscribe to Harper's Bazaar, and you can find me on Twitter as well. But I'm not very active there, to be honest. I'm just mostly active on Instagram and YouTube.
Okay.
And you have a broadcast, right? Because I follow your broadcasts.
Oh man, that was a bit short lived. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue it, but yeah, I do post like occasional beauty recommendations, like stuff that I really care for, stuff that I've used and really loved, like I will use over and over again. As a beauty editor, I get so much new products. It's a privilege that I recognize. Not all of them are good. I mean, let's face it.
Mm.
And there are some stuff that I truly love and will use over and over again. And if I were to quit my job, I would pay good money for them. Yeah, things that I would actually pay money for. So yeah, so that was a broadcast channel on my Instagram.
Yeah, you should follow. We'll follow you everywhere.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I want to just thank you so much again for taking the time to come on this platform with us and on the Luxury Live show. I had the most fun getting to know you, and it's just so interesting to talk to a professional, an actual professional in the industry. So thank you so much. We'd love to have you back maybe some other time, maybe after your trip. We'd love to hear about it.
Oh, that would be so nice. Thank you so much. I can't believe 2 hours just flew by like this. It just feels like chatting with old friends and having a bunch of people look at our conversation and we're having
like we got us watch this 123 over people. They're just like eavesdropping. Just kidding.
But that's what you were saying also at the beginning, that we do this every week. I'm like, yeah, but it really, the time does pass by quickly, especially when you're having a good conversation. And usually, we do have to come up with the topics, but usually the flow of the live chat kind of just carries us through because they have questions. Sometimes it's related, sometimes it's not related, but regardless, time does just fly by.
Yeah, and to the audience, if you just joined like in the beginning, we were talking about what other videos that Arissa does. She does a lot of tech as well. So I do know there are some people here who are YouTubers. The tech content that Arissa does is like, for me, it's applicable. Like if I'm looking for a vlogging camera, I'm looking for certain things. So you can also follow Arissa for that. I think it's good content. Thank you. So I'm looking forward to your vintage finds in Japan video. That would be very helpful.
I'm just looking forward to your trip, which is very soon, right? September. Is it like
end September during fashion?
Fashion Week. Wow.
We'll keep in touch, and that way we can ask you back very, very soon. But
Thank
thank you so much. And for the rest of you guys, next week is a members live, and it's going to be on Kat's channel. So we'll see you there. So thank you for joining us today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.